Hello, this is Dear Damson, and today we are going to do a very simple painting of eggs in a nest, and also we're going to use very few colors. The sketch is super elementary, so I will probably not have the traceable for you because you're dealing with 3 ovals and a big circle for the nest, and then between the 3 ovals and the end of that circle you want to do kind of crisscross lines and overlapping lines and lines that are sticking outside that circle, and that will represent the little twigs that the nest is made of. And what I'm doing right now is starting with the shadows that are behind the eggs and pretty much applying brown, ochre, and a little bit of black. I do started that out already on the site. The colors that I'm using right now is ochre, brown, and black. And I'm just going to start with the next part, and this is the little twigs on the side. And just with ochre and a little mixture of brown, tiny bit, so it's not just ochre. So go between pure ochre and maybe a little bit ochre with brown, so you have variation of different color twigs, and just follow that line, follow those lines. And they're not perfect, they're not straight, they're wiggly, they're not nothing special. So this is going to be a painting that we have to go between different elements, so we give one element a chance to dry before we go back to it. So I'm going to do that step, and then I'm going to move to the middle and the eggs. So I like a little bit of blue. So blue in your shadows, it's a good color. Sometimes I put blue with the black or browns, and sometimes I put purple. In this case I decided that blue is gonna look really pretty because also I'll have a little bit of that dark blue inside the eggs as little tiny spots. And now with a super transparent, I'm gonna go back in and just add maybe like representation of a shadowy side of those twigs, but I'm keeping this painting very light, so I'm not adding a lot of color. And this is just with brown, just putting a little bit emphasis on those twigs. And if you start getting too repetitive, because it's very easy to fall into that, just if you notice, just put something, a twig or line a little bit different than everything else to break that. So now our shadowy side got a few little lines in the center around the eggs, so it doesn't look so different anymore, and just it seems pushed back because of the darkness. And now we're gonna go with the eggies. So I'm just putting a kind of a dirty water at this point because my water is mixed with the ochre and the brown, so that helped a little bit to add color to the egg without really adding color from the palette, just by using dirty water. So I waited for a tiny bit for the water to kind of soak in a little bit to start adding a little more elements. So now I'm adding a little bit of mixture between blue and black for kind of a shadow, and now I'm gonna drop tiny little dots around, but our canvas is still wet on the outside of that egg, so if you see how those spots really fast moved and burst around, and they're creating a little bit more of a softer edge. The center of the egg is not wet, so the spots that we're leaving there will be more confined. They're not going to move around. And we're going to add some spots a little bit later again to those areas that are wet right now, so they are more pronounced and not so vague. A little more shadow. Shadows are very important. Our highlights and shadows will be what makes the painting. I didn't make my eggs perfect egg shape because I thought it will be kind of fun to be a little bit different and some of them to look like they're not perfect and a little bumpy, but you can make your perfect shape eggs. That will be really cool. I was experimenting, so it's kind of good to see how you can go from a perfect egg shape to something that it's a little, I don't know, maybe a branch is covering a part of it and it's in a shadow, or just adding a little more questions to why is this looking like this. I'm gonna go back to our shadows, adding a little bit more depth in there, sinking those egg deep into the nest. I always do my shadows in few parts. So since our twigs on the side are dry, I'm running a very slightly wet brush over that area and pretty much helping me to cover with water, but also taking away some of the paint from the painting, and that just makes it so much easier to finish the nest look versus adding color. And if I add too much color, it's going to be messy. So if you add your darks first and then wait until they dry and you run slightly wet brush over to fill in the white space, that will be so much easier. But pretty much that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell, and happy painting. Bye.